So it's been brought to my attention that not only are the Admirals not comparable to the Yonko to a large part of the One Piece fanbase, now I'm starting to see people migrate back to the Admirals being comparable to the commanders. Alright, obviously this isn't 2018 anymore and people aren't arguing this as much, but with the recent installment of these latest Admirals like Greenbull running around One Piece making the Admirals supposedly look bad, also with the new addition of a former Admiral known as Aokiji joining an established Yonko crew as an underling, obviously that's going to stir up some controversy towards the hierarchy in the crew. Kizaru now getting a one-shot on Egghead, even though I don't know how this equates to him being commander level, but all these things are somehow tying into the Admiral downplay, and people are slowly going back to 2018, migrating to them being closer to commanders than they are to Yonkos, which is crazy. Shout out to my guy Malik, he recommended this video, and honestly, when he showed me this idea, I started to see these takes a lot more for some reason. People are comparing King to Greenbull like that's an extreme diff fight. Like, what? And I think it's because of the recent episode where Queen was doing backflips all over him, but that's not important. Before we get into this, guys, if you're new here, make sure you guys take the time to subscribe to the channel. Once again, guys, I'm gonna chase you, you're gonna run away. I'm gonna chase, you're gonna run, and I'm gonna catch you eventually. So just save me the work and please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it. Now, this video is gonna be two parts. I'll first discuss a ranking of commanders, and then I'll talk about the narrative scaling for Admirals and why they shouldn't be compared to majority of the commanders in One Piece. To better understand what I mean by commanders and Admirals aren't close, you gotta dissect the commanders. I'm not gonna include all the commanders, only the ones who are mainly discussed and who have made a name for themselves. So as you can see with this chart, I divided it into 3 sections with all these commanders. Don't worry, these guys aren't on the same level. If they're in the same tier, it doesn't mean they fight extreme death with each other. That's not what I'm trying to say. I know you guys are freaking out. Oh my god, Katakuri and Beast on the same tier. Oh my god, he's crazy. Just chill. So let's take it from the top. At the very top, these are the only commanders we should consider even relative to Admirals. This isn't me saying they're on the same level as them, but these guys are the only characters from what we know have the narrative backing to challenge an Admiral to a decent fight. Vice captains are just built different, including Zoro. Rayleigh seems to be disrespected in the community because he's out of his prime. In his prime, he can easily be argued over the Admirals, but now that he's old, he can't even fight them? I find that weird. Even at his old age, he's still viewed very highly in the One Piece verse. Regardless of whether you think he's featless, he's trash, he's old, he doesn't fight no more, he has the portrayal against top tiers. In Sabaody, Rayleigh was able to postpone and protect Kizaru from the Straw Hats. Even though Kizaru would have most likely got the better of Rayleigh eventually, due to the emphasis of Rayleigh's stamina being depleted over the years because obviously he's old, he was still able to match Kizaru and stop him in his tracks. As stated by Kizaru and these other marine guys, I don't know who they are. Garp even considered Rayleigh too much of a threat to deal with while trying to fight Whitebeard, and we know the Navy and the Warlords are allied as the Great Powers, which they deployed for Whitebeard at Marineford. Rayleigh alone would be too much of a problem even with their forces. Garp even proceeds to call Rayleigh a legend in the same breath as Whitebeard, who was perceived to be the strongest in the world at the time. Rayleigh was also able to control and stop Yonko Blackbeard on Amazon Lily from terrorizing Boa and getting the Devil Fruit that he wants. Even though Ray admits he can't beat Blackbeard, this is still a testament to how he's viewed by other stronger people and top tiers in the series. He likely possesses all forms of advanced hockey, making him an extremely strong fighter at his old age. Van Dyckman is kind of straightforward. We've been saying the same things about this guy for years, and there's nothing to really debunk it because he doesn't fight or we just don't see him. Like I said, the vice captains are built different. He has some statements comparing him to Shanks in terms of presence. He's on the same level. People fear him just as much. He's extremely strong, blah blah blah. Strongest pirate crew, most balanced. You guys get it. The question mark section, I have people who have no concrete evidence of being able to challenge an Admiral to a serious fight. They still have some potential narrative that could make them extremely strong in the future where they could reach that Admiral level. Obviously, Crocodile got beaten by a pre-time skip Luffy, but we all know that Crocodile on Marineford looked completely different. He was talking shit and clashing with a ton of strong people, and now he joined Cross Guild, who are in the race for the One Piece, and he's one of the more prominent commanders, and he got a pretty decent bounty increase. Oda honestly can make him as strong as he wants, and he can make him a monster when we see him at Laugh Tale. Honestly, I wouldn't put it past Oda. But like I said, there's no concrete speculation for his future strength just yet. If you ask me right now, I think Sabo is that guy. I think he could tussle with Admirals just because I feel like it. And he very much can be the Admiral level in the future, which I think is likely. But as of right now, there needs to be more concrete evidence and future narrative. Him clashing and drawing with Fuji does not mean he's at his level. Does not mean they are equal. Sabo, it does gas up Sabo's image, but the reality is Fujitora was not trying. So this cannot put Sabo in the talks with contesting with Admirals. Fuji held himself back against Sabo so that he could use Sabo as an excuse to not interfere with Luffy's battle. One of the Marines even co-signed this because he found it fishy that Fuji, an Admiral, and Sabo ended in a draw, essentially because he's an Admiral, confirming that Fuji was holding back. What happened at the Reverie is not a feat to gas Sabo, by the way. I don't know how many times I gotta explain this, but like almost dying and escaping on life support cannot be scaled to anything. Yeah, he didn't die, but like, are we gassing up people for not dying now? Like, well, what is this? Like, he didn't die, but like he's hurt. He's on life support. A part of the reason why he didn't die was because Cobra protected him. I just don't get it. Like, I never seen how people can use this as a feat. But yeah, I will admit that Sabo does have some reasonable expectations to be a serious top tier at the end of the series. People think he's gonna fight a Kainu, blah blah blah. But there isn't anything that really confirms all that stuff right now. Or there's not like real like strong evidence. Lastly, Shiryu. This guy, I'm not gonna lie, it's just scaled off a future matchup with Zoro and the series on Laptail against Blackbeard. It's kind of justified, but I just don't know if he's at that level right now. If he was really Admiral level, his presence would have been felt more in battle at Hachinosu. All he did was stab Garp, who jumped in the way to protect Kobe, and then he got draped up by a hockeyless Garp punch. Him being Zoro's future opponent doesn't make him stronger than Akiji right now, by the way. Akiji was literally the guy fighting Garp and standing in his way, taking all his attacks. But once again, Shuri was yeah. So that future speculation matchup making him stronger doesn't even make sense based on how things are portrayed in this battle. And Aokiji clearly having better portrayal and feats in the entire series that I don't gotta talk about. Aokiji probably won't even be with the Blackbeard Pirates when they fight these Straw Hats because obviously he probably has a motive that he's here for, and I doubt he genuinely wants to make Blackbeard the Pirate King. Lastly, we have the Fodderized tier. These guys stand absolutely no chance against an Admiral. They will get destroyed and Fodderized. None of them have any feats or narrative that would say otherwise. The only guy you can try to argue is Marco, but like we basically saw Marco fight in 2 wars, like 2 big ones, and we know his full capabilities by now. He's a human sponge that absorbs damage. That's pretty much what Marco is. I love Marco, but we gotta be honest. He can stall out fights, he can absorb damage. That's pretty much his whole kit. His feats on top tiers like Kizaru did no real damage. He saw Aokiji flying off guard. No real damage. Big Mom says she doesn't want to use his homies on him, obviously, because like I said, he's a sponge that stalls all fights. No good display of hockey either. Not really any good AP. So yeah, Marco's the only character in this list who actually fought the most top tiers that is a first commander, and he hasn't really done anything. So let's move to the narrative scaling for Admirals over Commanders. I'm going to explain moments in the series where Admirals are blatantly shown on another level than Commanders just in general, like it's not even close. The first example I'm going to show you literally should already tell you that Commanders shouldn't be compared to Admirals whatsoever. After the Marineford War, the Blackbeard Pirates are chilling on the island fucking around with Bonnie on some freaky shit. They wanted to exchange Bonnie for a Navy ship, but they realized the Navy won't give up the ship that was pulling up to the island because Akainu was on it, and we know he stands on business. They decide to run away instead of confronting Akainu because, as Blackbeard says, he is not ready. I want to remind you, this is a Blackbeard who now has both the Darkness Fruit and the Quake Fruit. Before he had the Quake Fruit, he can easily be scaled to one of the stronger commanders in the series. Blackbeard at this time on this island with both those fruits clears almost all commanders in One Piece, and I think we can all agree on that. This was a Blackbeard who was soon to be a Yonko. This man, who's already this strong, who also has his crew with him, decided to run away from a solo admiral named Akainu, even when he had his crew with him, and his crew consisted of a guy like Shuri, who was on the same level as Magellan, who we knew was fucking up shit in Impel Down. He had guys like Ivankov, Jinbei, and basically everybody in the entire Impel Down Shuck running away. He even bodied Blackbeard and his crew at one point, and I know that's Blackbeard with only the Darkness Fruit, but he was still pretty strong. Like I said, Blackbeard had a man like that on his crew plus his other commanders, including his own ridiculous overpowered Devil Fruit abilities. He still ran away from one admiral. What are we talking about, bro? Like, that is insane to me. That's literally all the information you guys need. But let's continue. The next example is with Kobe. Luffy first encounters an admiral. Luffy's first encounter with an admiral was Aokiji when he fought him. Aokiji essentially low-diffed and bodied his crew, including him, without trying whatsoever. When Luffy sees Kobe in Water 7, Kobe tells Luffy he's gonna capture him when he's Pirate King. Luffy then tells Kobe you have to be an admiral in order to do that, saying it takes an admiral to try and oppose the Pirate King. And he's probably basing this off Aokiji's strength and how he bodied him. So that's a testament to the admiral level and Aokiji, saying that level makes you worthy to challenge the future Pirate King, something the commanders will never get praise for. Next example, you see how Kobe has to be an admiral in order to challenge Luffy? Well, get a load of this. When Roger was roughing up a bunch of Marines Marines, Roger was disappointed since none of them can give him a good fight. So he said bring Garp or Sengoku. Sengoku, by the way, was just an admiral at the time. Admiral Sengoku was implied to somewhat challenge the Pirate King, very similar to the Kobe situation. Once again showing you guys that the title of admiral is no joke and it's leagues above the portrayal of the commanders in terms of strength. There's some people who would probably say the admirals like Sengoku, Akainu and stuff are different breeds, and it doesn't mean all the admirals are extremely strong, with specifically the two newer admirals, but I agree that their portrayal hasn't looked the best, which causes the most controversies to downplay their strength. But I want to remind you guys that these admirals joining the Navy has contributed to the Navy being stronger than ever before, and this is a legit statement. The Navy right now is stronger than it's ever been. This current version of the Marines surpasses every other in the past. There could be many factors as to why it does, but since we know the admirals make up the main fighting power of the Marines, a lot of that gets attributed to their strength as well. A lot of the showings of these newer admirals are scenarios where it's heavily emphasized that they can't use their full power, especially in the Reverie when the commanders were going back and forth with them. Admirals just in general are restricted from using their full power a lot of the time, or pretty much any showing when they're in a fight, which I find to be very fucked up, and Oda keeps doing it, but it is what it is. But this is part of the reason why people tend to overlook them or even downplay them, because they don't show off their full power and they don't really look like monsters majority of the time. Last example I want to give you guys is Chinjao's words. He tells Luffy in order to become Pirate King, he must surpass the admirals and the Yonkos. This is pretty straightforward, showing you that the admiral level is a top tier level in the verse. I wanted to add Greenbull saying that he can't get caught up fighting these commanders as an admiral. A lot of people don't think Greenbull's serious, and I doubt you're even gonna care. But Greenbull's words are true based off what I said and the portrayal that the admiral status has. He can't be getting caught up fighting guys like King and Queen. Those guys are not even anywhere near his level, so he should be able to foderize them, which he essentially did. But hey, King and Queen are injured, blah blah blah, like they would do anything if they weren't. Like, I just like what are we talking about? To end this off, the portrayal of the admirals far exceeds most of the commanders in terms of strength, to the point where it shouldn't be a discussion or a debate. We haven't seen a full power admiral fight on screen, so there's no feats that actually disprove them not being near commanders. Let me know what you think about the video. Take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.